folks, we are back. I promised to go to calls. I just want to hit two more stories up before I do that. God, there's just so much to cover. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to cover all the news today. But these are the two I'm going to cover really quickly. There's a lot of people sending me this. I am aware that there is a Northcom drill coming up on the day of Blackjack. If people are not aware of what Blackjack is, it was like this pseudo cartoon series / comic strip that was in the Telegraph, and it was beyond bizarre. If you type in Jason Bermas or Infowarrior and Blackjack, you'll get a whole thing on it. I go over the entire series. It was a 6-part series in a couple segments. I think I did that about 2 months ago. People really need to check that out. But NORAD and U.S. Northcom exercise plan for mid-June. And I think the big deal is it's June 22nd is when it kicks off on Blackjack. I don't know if there's a correlation. I don't know if there's going to be a false flag attack on the 22nd. I doubt that the way that was set up, there were a lot of red herrings in there. It was weird because they admitted to government terrorism. And they talked about the Amero and FEMA camps, but then they also threw in like pictures of Roswell and Obama, and it was beyond bizarre. I encourage people to go check it out, but I am aware. You can stop with the emails. If you really think it's a serious topic, we can call into the show and we can discuss it further, but I wanted to make people aware that I do know about that. And then I thought that this was really odd that no one is really reporting on this, or why isn't this in the news? You notice they've declared level 6 in the United States and the world, level 6 WHO, United Nations, world government, level 6. You have no, rights at all. You have no human freedoms. Individual freedom is dead when level 6 occurs. And we've explained this to you. We've shown you the documentation. It is the Pandemic Preparedness and Planning for Influenza document from the WHO's own website. Well, why aren't people making a big deal out of this? I think that this is a little bit more of a big deal. New Mexico boy dies of pneumonic plague. An 8-year-old boy from Santa Fe County, New Mexico, has died from the pneumonic plague, and his 10-year-old sister is undergoing treatment, officials say. The New Mexico Department of Health says they are the first human plague cases this year in the United States. New Mexico's last plague death was in Bernalillo County, which includes Albuquerque, in 2007. I didn't even know the pneumonic plague was still around. How do you get that? How do you die from it? I mean, I guess if you're a young kid or you're an older person, it's a possibility, but you don't hear much about the pneumonic plague, and I think that might be a bigger issue, perhaps, than piggy flu. And it's really not even pig flu. Again, it's avian flu, human flu, and swine flu. And we've done shows on that. Again, Google the Infowarrior and WHO level 6. There's tons of material. And by the way, if you want to give me tips, because I get most of these tips, the majority of them from you, the listeners, my Facebook page is now Facebook.com/TheInfoWarrior, and my MySpace page, of course, is MySpace.com/Jason Bermas. Now, I would have kept it Jason Bermas both ways, but a fan, thinking that he could save the Jason Bermas moniker for me on Facebook, did take the name, and it's no longer available. The Infowarrior is just as good. So Facebook.com/TheInfoWarrior, MySpace.com/Jason Bermas. I promised I'd go to your calls, so let's do it. Chris in Oxford, you're on the line. Yes.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
Thanks. I want to start off with saying I am sick and tired of this humanity-hating parasites. You know, the ones that say, we have to depopulate the earth, otherwise we're all going to die. But there is good news. I am very happy with the Ron Paul Audit the Fed bill, the HR, was it 1207?
Yes, it's HR 1207, and at last count on Friday, as far as I knew, it had 222 co-sponsors. It probably has more than that now. I'm just not aware.
I mean, that's just really heartening.
Well, that means that it has to go before Congress. Yes. You know, that means that even if the mainstream media doesn't cover it, and the extent of the coverage has been on CNBC, where they say if they audit the Fed will have to shut down and it'll be utter chaos, so we can't do it. At least we'll have it on C-SPAN. And I think the cool thing about this is I hope that the media does cover it, and I hope that they don't cover it in a disparaging light. I doubt they won't cover it in a disparaging light, but it just gives us more fodder for our films, and especially the Obama Deception 2. I'm not sure what we're naming it yet, but when that comes out, of course we're going to include that congressional hearing, and literally tens of millions of people across the world, if they didn't hear it in the mainstream media, will see it in that video, and it will only give it more legitimacy. And it is disgusting that more people aren't jumping on the bandwagon. And it is disgusting that people in your country and my country are talking about depopulation. We're human beings, for God's sakes. You know? I mean, seriously.
genocide become fashionable? I mean, that's what they're advocating.
You know when it got fashionable? When we got fat, lazy, and into our iPhones and our flat screen televisions and our sports and our beer. And that's what's important. And people can't tell you how, the parliamentary system works in your country. They can't tell you the 3 branches of government in our country. They can't even tell you what the board on the Federal Reserve is. They don't know that the Rothschilds have their own estate, their own sovereign nation in the middle of London. People just don't know these things, and they don't want to know them. And that's why it became fashionable all of a sudden to kill a bunch of us. When they put things like Earth 2100 on the television, where they explain that there's going to be quarantines and there's going to be plagues, and, we're all going to have to drive smaller cars on a rail because the Earth just can't sustain. When they started to push peak oil on us and we started to buy it, when we started to pay $5 a gallon. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, like I said, HR 1207 is really heartening news. It means that finally people are paying attention. And America, I hope, in a few years' time, will not be a war zone, will not be Mad Max, will be a place like people like me can come to for sanctuary.
Well, I agree. I got to ask you, is there any coverage in the media over in the UK on HR 1207, or is it pretty much what you're reading over on Prison Plan and Infowars?
To be honest, I don't even watch the news here anymore. BBC just sickens me because it's pretty much the Home Office. And ever since that film, Dr. David Kelly, they've just had to toe the government line.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They outwardly murder that guy, David Kelly, who was against the war, said it was all a setup. He says they're going to kill me, and they do. They kill him in the woods, and they act like, what did they have, 2 inquiries into that, saying it was a suicide?
Yeah, but, they said they had some pills and he had to slit wrist, but there wasn't any blood from it. And, well, it's so transparent when there's murders here. I mean, for example, do you remember Jean-Charles de Menezes? Due to the 7/7 bombings, he was a Brazilian electrician. He got shot 7 times in the back of the head.
Yeah, in front of people. In front of people. And at first they said it was once or twice. They actually, for people that don't know, and I thank you for the call, Chris, they took this guy, they threw him into the railway car. They got everybody out of the railway car. They made them go into other cars or get out on the subway, and then they pumped 7 bullets into him. 7 bullets into him, into his head. Yeah, that's justice. No jury, no judge, just executioners. The guy wasn't armed. It's out of control, and it's true. And I remember when Alex was first reporting on that, people were saying, oh, Alex, he was violent. Oh, Alex, you're a conspiracy theorist. And it actually came out that it was much worse than what Alex had initially reported. Go check out Terror Storm if you haven't seen it. If you're new to the movement, you need to see that film. I also encourage people to go check out 7/7 Ripple Effect, another great film that one's only 60 minutes, and it relies solely on the 7/7 bombings. Whereas Terror Storm also goes into when they overthrew Mossadegh, and we have Obama openly admitting now in the Middle East that we were a part of Project Ajax, and we did help overthrow your government. Well, we're sorry. And 50, 60 years later, they love to come out with their crimes and just like, we're so apologetic. It was like Clinton when he got up on. I want to say it was just a normal little press junket thing, and he starts apologizing for the MK Ultra experiments in this country, admitting, we took innocent people off the street, we did horrid things to them, and it's a dark period in the United States history, but we just need to get over it. Well, I'm not getting over it. People need to be prosecuted. People need to be tried for their crimes. Just because you hold a government position and you think you're your lordship or you're above other people, you're a eugenicist. You really believe that, we need to do this to people. It doesn't make it right. Again, there is good and evil in the world, and I think that those are some of the examples out there. Let's go to Ronald in D.C. Ronald, you're on the line.
Hey, what's going on, Jason?
How you doing, man? Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering when are you going to get that Immortal Technique on your show, man?
I'm trying. I just cannot get a response from the guy. You know what? I'm writing it down. I will try again tomorrow. I would love to have Immortal Technique on, especially, I don't know, I don't think Revolutionary Volume 3 is out yet, is it?
No, it's actually called Third World. You can get it.
No, I have Third World, but that's been out for over a year. I'm waiting for Revolutionary Volume 3. Third World, are you kidding me? I used 2 or 3 of the tracks on my bumper music, man. I think it's awesome. That album's crazy good.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm not sure if you heard about the CNN coverage in Europe about the Bilderberg group. I'm not sure why. I wonder why the U.S. government media outfitters haven't broadcasted it over in the U.S., huh?
Well, you know what? That's CNN International you're talking about, and they might have just done a blurb on it. But I remember back in like 04 or 05, they had John Ronson on to discuss the Bilderberg Group, and John Ronson admitted that they wanted a new world order. And John Ronson is, an author who's pretty critical of some of the claims made by Alex Jones and myself. However, he was also the guy that helped Alex Jones get into the Bohemian Grove back in 2000. He got a deal with the Trio Network, and the Trio Network funded kind of like this TV series that he turned into a book called Adventures with Extremists. He followed that book up with The Men Who Stare at Goats. And The Men Who Stare at Goats, he basically made that into a TV series too, and that TV series was called Crazy Rulers of the World. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what Ronson says, but he does put a lot of interesting information out there, and he is a little disingenuous, but I encourage people to check out his work. I thank you for the call. We're going to go to Glenn, Mike, Ryan, and more on the other side. It's 866... I can't even remember the number. What is it? 866-582-9933. Jeez, I'm losing it.